What's up, boys? So today I'm finally doing another video after I think it was like 2 months. Yeah, 2.5 months about. Um, basically I've started to push again, been getting a little bit more in M plus again, and with that comes I don't know, the desire to make a few more commentaries. So I'm just gonna go through some of this 16 Nokhud offensive. So I actually do have a log for it this time. Just looking at a damage breakdown from a cursory glance, you can see like Fire Breath Pyre, most of our damage, but Disintegrate, and our shards are obviously pumping, and running Tome and Spindle. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. And with healing, Dev is obviously cracked with Leech because of that one talent, and then Renewing Blaze, Living Flame, Rescue, Emerald Blossom, all of our typical perpetrators. Um, so I don't think I showed it in the video, so I hopped on real quick to show the talent tree real fast. Unlike some of my other videos, I'm not going to go through in detail some of the talent interactions. They're still the same from Season 3, so like Volatility, Causality, how Shattering Star works, and a few other talents, and some hidden interactions that Dev has. You can go take a look at those videos and see. But on the general tree, I have changed what I run this season. And that's because I've started putting less weight on Source of Magic and Potent Mana. I used to put a lot of weight on these because it would prevent the healer from drinking so much, and the 3% damage and healing is really nice. But the reality of the situation is that, I'm playing Devastation and I don't play with an augmentation or an augmentation evoker. So our keys are really fast, right? If you're playing with triple DPS, no aug, you don't really need the extra damage or throughput or anything like that. You're already going really fast in comparison to running an aug. So these talents, I would say, are just kind of nil for a Devastation Evoker, just because with Enkindled being 2 points and a few other necessary talent nodes that Dev has to take, it's a really tight talent budget to give up some really strong abilities like Twin Guardians, Rescue, Pressing Roar, Terror of the Skies for these two buttons right here. It's just very difficult to justify. So what I have started running is, because I run with a Vengeance Demon Hunter and they're so goddamn broken. Um, a Pressing Roar just gains so much value, right? Because you Pressing Roar, and then the Silent Sigil I think is like 2 to 3 seconds longer, which is absolutely insane. It's so much value. So I've started running this, or I think people call it Spit. So I've started running the Spit button over Source of Magic and over Potent Mana. This is kind of a free button that I move around, but I'll typically go Terror of the Skies if I don't need anything else. But if it's an Unravel dungeon, I'll do that, or sometimes I'll get rid of Protected Talons for Unravel. It just kind of depends. Ancient Flame is also fairly decent, but Terror of the Skies in general is going to be the highest value button you can grab here. Just because like having a stun is really nice. You can combine that with the spit, so like he silences, then at the end of the spit you hit them with the deep breath, and it stuns them for quite a while. I'm not sure if that DRs, but it's really strong overall. And you can also do some crazy stuff with landslide spit. Like on the first boss of Nokhud, we like trap a bunch of the little guys that run out to destroy the catapult, and using spit plus Sigil of Misery or spit plus landslide is pretty crucial in making that pretty easy. Um, but that's as far as the general talent tree goes, and kind of what I'm doing differently in season 3, or sorry, season 4. And I guess because this is my first video on season 4, a few months in, I should maybe talk just a little bit on the tier set. So the tier set is obviously insanely good. It is so much better than our Emerald Trance one. That one was complete ass and not very fun to play around at the end of the day. Having your cooldowns be spread out like a minute and a half or a minute and 20 seconds or whatever it was is just not good for Mythic Plus. It's not how Devastation is played in previous tiers. We've always been super high burst, super, upfront damage, things like that. And that just wasn't how we were playing in Season 3, which was unfortunate. But in Season 4, we have our burst tier set back with the Obsidian Shards. This tier set gains an insane amount of value in AoE because Pyre hitting all the mobs, applying shards to every single one of those mobs is very, very, very powerful. As far as like gameplay changes go, all you're really going to do is whenever you're outside of Dragon Range, you're going to wait for the shards to stop blazing and then basically send it after it's done blazing, so you have maximum uptime of them being ignited or whatever, supercharged, I think is the verb they do, or they have in the description. And that's the only gameplay change, which is really nice overall. It was more annoying to play around the Emerald Trance because you had to like Nimways at a certain time. You had to request PI at 2 to 3 stacks. It was kind of a nightmare. So pretty typical Devastation gameplay. As far as gear goes, we're obviously running the legendary, giga powerful. Nothing is better than this. Always run this with Whopping Devotion, and Mythic Plus Haste is like our best stat by far. As far as trinkets go, I don't know about Umber Skulls yet, but I haven't got the loot yet. I haven't got the drop, so regardless, I haven't really been able to test it or anything. But I just run Nimways and Tome of Unstable Power. Overall, Nimways is significantly better than Spoils in single target, and it's pretty close in AoE. But if you're having trouble with the wind-up time and losing value, etc., then Spoils is a perfectly good alternative. It actually, I think according to Blood Mallet, it actually pulls ahead at 5 targets. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's like for like 10 targets or anything like that, which is what you should really sim as a Devastation Evoker. But yeah, Spoils actually pulls ahead of Spindle there. But getting Spoils with haste is really, really, really powerful for for AoE. And then we have the rings. So we have Diurna's Chosen, which is insanely strong. And next week, I'll be spending my Bullion on the Broodkeeper ring, which will increase my survivability a lot, because we do a lot of fire damage, obviously. So getting this shield pretty consistently is going to be an insane pickup for the squad. So, and as far as embellishments go, we definitely go the arm guards, and we're also running the Zone of Focus. I forget what it's called, but the thing that increases your mastery when you're above 90% health. As the tier goes on and we get more and more primary stat, secondaries gain a ton of value, right? Like you're not even, if you sim yourself, you're probably not eating primary stat food anymore. You're eating secondary stat food. So I'm running fish sticks, but it doesn't really matter that much which one you run. But overall, secondaries are really powerful. So I remember what it's called, Blue Silken Lining. The Blue Silken Lining gains a ton of value this tier. So my gear's definitely not complete. Like there's some dudes who are like 528 and I'm only 523 without a few sockets, but I'll probably be there next week, so we'll be chilling. I think that's all the things I wanted to go over in regards to like my build change, playstyle change, gear changes. I know it was really fast, so hopefully you're able to pause and all that. So yeah, I think we can get into the video. Yo. Oh, that was my test recording. Alright, cool. So here we are. So my buddy Vodka slammed in the key, so I wasn't able to tip the scales before the key started. But you definitely want to tip the scales before the key starts and just don't spend your empowered ability, because what actually happens is you end up getting an extra charge if you tip the scales. So I would be coming into this pack with a tip the scales fire breath, then I'd be able to tip the scales eternity surge right after, which is really, really powerful burst. So this is a really big pull right here. I forget who exactly you need to kick here, but it's either the Lance Master, the Plane Stomper, or the Horn Sounder. I know as a safe bet, you need to kick the Horn Sounder's Rally or whatever. So that's something that you can focus target. But overall, like these War Spears, Beast Masters, Longbows, things like that, they're not something that you need to target and worry about. It's really just the guys that are colored right here that you need to kick. So why I really like Nimwe's is because while he gathers the pack, I'm able to do something meaningful, right? Because if you're not doing that, like you could run Pyre and potentially pull aggro or disintegrate something, whatever. Nimwe's doesn't really generate a lot of threat, which is really, really nice. So while he's gathering this pack, I'm gonna Nimwe's, and then I should use my Oppressing Roar because he's gonna go into a Silent Sigil right after, right? And I want to extend that as long as I can. So let's see if I end up doing that. Yep, Pressing Roar, tip the Scales Fire Breath. The reason I tip the Scales Fire Breath before my Dragon Rage is because I want the Dragon Rage 3 Pyres to benefit from Iridescence Red. That's something you should always do in AoE, mainly because in AoE you have no issue extending Dragon Rage, right? Causality procs, with Causality and how Pyre works, like you get 2 seconds per Pyre, potential volatility. When volatility procs from those Pyres, you also benefit from cooldown reduction from those. So, you know, overall, it's just very, very easy to extend your Dragon Rage in AoE. So we definitely just want more burst from that. Now I did mess up here because I should have potted before I did the Tip the Scales Fire Breath Dragon Rage, because I basically sent out a shit ton of damage without being in pot. So that was a pretty big misplay. So in mass AoE like this is 14 targets. You're just going to send Eternity Surge at rank 1. Let me actually find that chart real quick. So I actually found it right here. So empowering Eternity Surge with Eternity Span outside of Dragon Rage. We are inside Dragon Rage and we are 10 plus targets. So regardless of whether we had Eternity Span or not, we're just doing 1. With 8 to 9, you still do 1, but with 7 you do 3. This is pretty difficult to remember off the top of your head. As a general rule of thumb, I send basically rank 1 Eternity Surge unless it's 4 targets or below in Dragon Rage. And outside Dragon Rage, I'll always charge up to hit the maximum number of mobs, just because you don't have as much essence flowing or things like that. So you run the risk of potentially spending your essence too quickly if you don't charge up Eternity Surge all the way or Fire Breath or anything like that. And you just kind of become starved hitting your filler abilities, which isn't very fun. But overall, here we're just like spamming Pyre, pretty simple. And whenever I want to generate a Essence Burst, I'm hitting Azure Strike, just because casting Living Flame with Engulfing Blaze or whatever the hell that the long cast time Living Flame just takes too long. And I really just want to bank on burnout procs coming. So the only time I'll ever hardcast a Living Flame in AoE like this is if my Fire Breath comes off cooldown and I haven't spent my Leaping Flames proc then. Then, in my opinion, it's worth hardcasting a Living Flame. But overall, like, while I'm waiting for my Fire Breath to come off cooldown, I just want to bank on a burnout proc coming and spending my Living Flame that way. Like right there, burnout proc came, boom, 2 Essence Burst, spamming Pyres. Obviously, we want to try to engineer our Pyres such that we're hitting it with Iridescence Red and Eternity Surge, and Essence Burst, because we benefit from Titanic Wrath, and I know I'm kind of naming a lot of talents. Titanic Wrath, which increases our Essence Spenders damage when they're Essence Burst, along with Iridescence with the red color, and this talent, by the way, Engulfing Blaze, which I guess I don't actually play. Do I have an extra talent? I thought you play that in AoE. Oh, I guess I'm tripping. Oh well. But still, don't hardcast Living Flame. So here we go. Always max rank Fire Breath in AoE. Just because we don't really care about having the Fire Breath. Like for one, Fire Breath is going to come off cooldown really fast. Like really, really fast because of our Pyres and, you know, volatility, causality, 2 seconds, etc. And we don't care about the dot being on the target. The only time we care about the dot being on the target is in single target or in cleave or something like that to benefit from Catalyze. That's when we are more interested in rank 1ing or rank 2ing Fire Breath. But for AoE, we don't give a fuck about that. So, excuse my language, but we don't care about that. And we just Pyre. Or we just do max rank. So here we go. as you can see, even though I wasted that first, or quote unquote wasted, I sent the fire breath outside of the initial dragon rage, I'm extending my dragon rage very long. And also for sanguine, evoker has insane utility. That was a mess up. But we have the wing buffet, and honestly for sanguine, if you have the talent budget, this is honestly not a bad talent to take. Heavy wing beats getting wing buffet cooldown reduction by 45 seconds. Really good for sanguine. I would honestly almost recommend taking that over the stun, because the stun is kind of counterintuitive for sanguine, now that I'm thinking about it. So here we go, just gaming right here. And a quick note, well, I'll just let this play. A quick note on, you know, while you're going from pack to pack, like, don't sit on your defensives a ton, right? Just anytime that you think a little bit of damage is about to come out, just go ahead and click Renewing Blaze or Obsidian Scales, something like that. Because you have to remember, like, this is a 1 minute cooldown with Foci of Life, I think is the name. Fire Within. I think the other one's Foci of Life. Yeah, Fire Within. It's a 1 minute cooldown, and it's insanely powerful. Builds up your Scarlet Adaptation stacks, actually increases your throughput overall. And Obsidian Scales is a 1 minute 30 with 2 stacks. Like, be super liberal with them. Like, you know, don't be scared to click them. But again, here we're setting up for another gamer mode. We're Nimwazing, Tip the Scales, Fire Breath, Dragon Rage, boom, Dragon Rage. Then we're Pyring. So while this kind of goes on, by the way, this is 4 targets, so I should do rank 2. Yep. While this is going on, there's like kind of a advanced tip with causality and how volatility works. So sometimes, like, when you're really close to an extension and an empowered is about to come off cooldown and you're banking on a volatility proc from Pyre or something like that to reduce it, sometimes it is actually best to just sit there and wait for like half a GCD and let that Pyre tick so you get the causality proc. Because of how causality works and volatility works, it creates this really weird system where sometimes you actually want to delay a GCD to get to basically make your next GCD the empowered that comes off cooldown from the Pyre that procs for volatility. So it's a really advanced topic and something that's kind of difficult to do and understand without playing dev for quite a bit. But it's something to definitely keep in mind, like, as you're playing. Get a nice stun there. Spit, and I think Silent Sigil is maybe coming, hopefully. Like Sweep did, that's nice. Nice value. And from here, we're just basically, you know, using Caught liberally as much as we can. He had a few stacks on him, I believe. Oh, he got charged again. Yeah, he had 2 stacks. That was a perfect Caught usage right there. So, although he had Cocoon, so he's probably cool. I'm sitting on Fire Breath too long right here. You want to send your empowereds basically as soon as possible. And I honestly should have maybe sent rank 2 here, because I think we're going to end up disintegrating this target without Fire Breath on it, which is a pretty big DPS loss. Yeah, I should have done rank 2 right here. So, just food for thought. Oh no, the tank died. I remember now. He was trying to kill our healer. We were messing around here. So for this boss is a pretty decent Devastation fight. The Raging Tempest is way more insane for Dev, but right here, so this was kind of a misplay. I should have coordinated with my Shadow Priest and told him, hey, can we delay PI like 3 seconds more than usual? But I sent Fire Breath right here, and I didn't hit the second target, which is a pretty big DPS loss, right? Because more Fire Breaths on targets means more burnouts, etc. And I'll just let this play. And I'm going to start disintegrating this target, I think. And that's disintegrating a target without Fire Breath on it with Catalyze is a pretty big DPS loss. So I think I do this the whole fight, like wasting my Fire Breath per se. But you know, for when you do this dungeon, don't make that same mistake. Wait a little bit, hold fire breath, and hit both of them. It's right here. Yep, nice. So Dev is actually pretty awesome on this fight because we have slows built into our kit. Also, Zephyr is really good for the shard of stone or whatever. So yeah, so kind of getting into how we live this fight as Devastation in higher keys. Now, at a 16, I don't think this is really going to be lethal at all, but we have so much at our disposal to live these things, right? We have 2 stacks of Obsidian Scales, we have Zephyr that will largely carry you through one, and we have Rescue as well. And basically, cycling between Rescue, Obsidian Scales, and Zephyr will essentially get you through any big hit that you need as Devastation. And having an adequate amount of verse too, so. Alright, so right here I root this guy, and then from here on we're just rooting people. So I honestly could have spat at him in Landslide. I would only recommend doing this in a kind of coordinated group. This is something that can go bad really fast. Like, let's say that all these guys escape. Like, we're about to trap 3, I believe. It gets pretty, you know, pretty terrible pretty fast, if so, because all the catapults are going to get destroyed and he's going to destroy you. So that one gets parried. So I believe I come and spit this one pretty soon, once he's at like 3 seconds or so. Using Rescue to survive there. Spit at him, so now the next Misery will last 32 seconds. Pretty damn long. And from here on, we're just, you know, disintegrating, doing our rotation. I'm not talking about that too much, just because I feel like I maybe need to make a video on the single target rotation and what's ideal. I'm just, these videos I kind of just talk about like how I would handle it, and usually the rotation kind of takes the back seat a little bit, and instead of some cool tricks. So it dies here from the catapult. Nice. So now, like, if I was in a coordinated group, which we are, you know, if you want to do the waterfall in the second area with your cooldowns up. So we're going to head to the waterfall and do this, like, tiny pack, to basically buy time for our cooldowns to come up. Because we want to hit, like, this, let me see if I can pause, this pack right here, with Dragon Rage, you know, and PI and Shadow Priest cooldowns, things like that. So we're doing this pack right here, really small pack, just buy some time. So basically on these small packs right here, I'm essentially just looking to send Fire Breath, Shattering Star, and then maybe a Deep Breath right here, but I also could wait for my next Shattering Star. That'd be also good. Sending rank 4. And we're at 4 targets right now. So disintegrating with Iridescence Blue isn't great, but if there is a priority target in a pack, I recommend always spending your Iridescence Blue disintegrates on the priority target, or if it's 3 targets or less, then that's when you send Iridescence Blue disintegrates on the target. So I believe Iridescence Blue disintegrate pulls ahead of 3 target Pyre with volatility. So this was perfect. Dragon Rage is up now. We're going to Nimways the target, and we're going to make sure we're kicking the Storm Speaker, I believe. No, the Storm Bolt. That's the priority kick. But coming into this, I didn't let my Nimways tick all the way. I don't think that was bad. But tip the scales, Fire Breath, Dragon Rage, Shattering Star, rank 1 Eternity Surge, then Pyre. And I should hit Renewing Blaze right here while the AoE damage is going out, but our healer's kind of pumping right now, so it doesn't really matter that much. The thing that I'm big on with Renewing Blaze is that it actually builds up Scarlet Adaptation. So, you know, one, it makes the healer's job easier and it makes you safer, but it also ends up being a pretty reliable source of huge leaping flame, living flame damage, because it builds up your Scarlet Adaptation, right? Uh, so if you actually look at our damage breakdown, which I think I show at the end of the dungeon, Living Flame ends up being a pretty considerable amount compared to other classes filler abilities like Shadow Bolt or something like that. And that's because that, you know, our Living Flame is supposed to be kind of a greater filler in the Devastation and in the Devastation rotation, because we have so many talents that augment it, right? We have Engulfing Blaze, Ruby Embers, and then we have Honed Aggression, which are all things we don't necessarily take in a or in Mythic Plus is Devastation, but it's just kind of, it just harkens to how important that button is to our rotation. And as such, they've tuned it to do pretty considerable amounts of damage, and with Burnout as well. So, you know, having a full Scarlet Adaptation stacked up, Leaping Flames, Living Flames onto a pack does an insane amount of damage, like more than a Fire Breath, I believe. And with Iridescence Red as well, right? So Iridescence Red, Leaping Flames, like and Scarlet Adaptation fully stacked, that is just huge value. So honestly, in between these packs, like let's say like right now, if vodka was low and we were walking between this pack, I really should have Verdant Embraced him and Emerald Blossomed or shot a Living Flame into him with Hover as I was walking to that pack. Just because you know, you're really incentivized to heal your allies. Like in the APL for single target and things like that, the Dev Evoker is actually healing a pretty considerable amount. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's like if you play around Scarlet Adaptation, which I'm not always the best at, I should be better at, you will see a pretty considerable jump in damage. So right here, we have like a clear priority target. Even though Pyre pulls ahead here, I'm really just going to be focused on disintegrating this target down and sending as much funnel into him as I can. If we were scale commanded right now, we'd be eating really good, but you know, we're not yet, so it's unfortunate. It's a really good pack there. If I had rescue up, I would have rescued the tank into this pack and tried to keep Dragon Rage going, but that would have been possibly a little troll. Would have kept this in Dragon Rage though, which is nice. So right there, you can watch my, so I'll go back 10 seconds. My Scarlet Adaptation tracker is right here. It's like the little red text. So I click Renewing Blaze, and you can watch my thing go up. So 5,300, send it, and I think my weak aura just bugged out. I'm not sure, but Renewing Blaze does build that up quite a bit, which is really, really nice. So for this pack, I don't think the Squall matters that much. I think it's really just a matter of kicking the Stormbolt. Might be different on Fort. I really just started pushing, so I'm not 100% sure. But it does spawn these balls around here, and you know, as Evoker, you can just hover and kind of walk in circles, and especially as Devastation, we're extremely mobile during our AoE rotation, right? Pyre is, you can cast it on the move. You don't need to be stationary when you cast it or anything like that. So you just walk around in circles, pyring, and grab them all. While a class like, well, Shadow is fairly mobile, but you know, let's say like a Destro Warlock or something like that. You have a lot more mobility than them to go around and pick up all the orbs in a circle, and like the game wants you to make use of them as well. So you could even Renewing Blaze right here when you pick them up, because it does a little bit of damage, which I did, but I was a little late too. But you can see that how it ticks up a little bit. Now my Renewing Blaze is barely healing back any damage, so I'm not really getting a big tick from it. But let's say a Renewing Blaze right there at that AoE damage, I would be getting a pretty considerable benefit from Scarlet Adaptation. 25%, it's pretty based. Right here, I should disintegrate, spin that blue iridescence. Yep, nice. As Dev Evoker, you are incentivized to target the highest health target in a pack. I'm not sure exactly how it works since they added in the floor ceiling. Like, I think it might be when they're below 30%, it's like all the same. Not 100% sure on that. But as a general rule of thumb, you want to be tap targeting to the highest health target. unless you have a priority. So right here, dude, this boss, I just go like Super Saiyan on. I think I end up doing almost like 600k on it or something like that. Um, so I'm really big on not sending cooldowns on pull here. I think that you end up getting a lot more damage if you save Lust for the first electrical storm, because at that point, like most DPS are going to be anywhere between 5 to 10 stacks, and it helps the healer out during that first storm. So you're basically lusting when you're doing, 50% more damage rather than just like at the start. I almost died there, Jesus. Which will be really nice because in higher keys, I'm predicting like to survive this, I'm gonna need to use defensives on every single little bomb that he puts on you, and basically just let the healer carry me through this phase, or renewing blaze at least. So right here, we're just trying to get the 10 stacks and essentially, oh god, let that one just pass. Did not even realize. But I'm blasting right now. I'm upwards of 600k. Our thing is about to fall off, so I got to make it a priority to get a stack. We're at 10 now, so we're at max power. Let's see how hard this Eternity Surge hits. 1.2 mil. So, pretty huge. The name of this game is to just always have your stacks up and going. Like I think that our priest stacks fell off, or I was eating all of his, I don't really know. But if you look at the damage meter right now, like this is no AUG, I'm doing 626k, which is double what these guys are not double, but pretty considerably ahead of what my other DPS are doing right now. So right here, I don't want to run into this one. I just want it to run into me. Again, you want to keep the highest uptime you can on this and leave as much room for error as possible. So we have another AoE phase coming. It's a good time to click Renewing Blaze. It's just massive rot damage, right? Renewing Blaze will pretty much carry you through that. So look at that. So this is a really great showcase of Renewing Blaze with Scrod Adaptation. So I send my Renewing Blaze there. I think I send a Burnout proc and spent the Scrod Adaptation. Yep, instantly back at 100. So Burnout again. Let's see, instantly back at 100. So instantly at 94. So, oh my gosh, that's actually, I'm going to play that one more time. 100, Living Flame, Renewing Blaze, boom, 100. Renewing Blaze, boom, 100. Boom, 100. Dude, so huge. So huge. We're getting so much value from Living Flame, Burnout, or sorry, Renewing Blaze and Scrod Adaptation there. So I think our next cooldown set's coming up, which is really nice. Yep, try to grab that one just to give myself more leeway. Barely live in that shit. Holy crap. But we're entering into our next cooldown set. I was a little late on the Nimways there, so losing a little bit of value on PI, which sucks. But we're good for the most part. The Scales Fire Breath. Because this boss won't last for the remainder of my Dragon Rage, I honestly could have held Fire Breath there for Shattering Star. And I could have Shattering Star, tipped the Scales Fire Breath for quite a bit more damage, at the cost of potentially missing an extension on Dragon Rage. Oh yeah, I think our healer actually dies here. Yep. So this is actually pretty another great showcase of Renewing Blaze. So all the other DPS are gonna die, and these two DPS are probably tankier than a Dev Evoker. If he's in Bear, he is. But me and the tank are the only people who live, and that's because Renewing Blaze is just cranking there, right? Look at this. I had a health pot as well, but Renewing Blaze is just healing me so much. I'm not clicking Emerald Blossom or Verdant Embrace. I did at the end there. But it is the only reason I managed to survive through that. But I think I showed it right here. You can just, not to shit on my boys, but you can see how much more damage I did than to this boss. 107 million, 72 million was the next guy, and then 59 million was the druid, who's a pug. But I literally did double this dude's damage, and we were up the same amount of time in this fight. Alright, so we're coming up to this part of the place, which is a pretty fun part. It's just big AoE pad time. I'll probably not go through every single one of these packs just because they're kind of the same deal. Like, you're just kind of coming into the pack, you know, fire breathing, etc. I should do max eternity surge here. I was scared that I was going to get caught by that, so I didn't charge it up all the way. But I should have done max rank eternity surge. This sucks, like whenever the soul comes out and you're charging up a fire breath. I do have a weak aura that tells me like soul's coming, so I think to play around that I just would maybe just be spamming fillers to try to get essence burst for when I collect my soul, I can unleash after that. So this pack is like almost dead already, so I'm trying not to, like, I don't want to send my cooldowns on a pack that's almost dead. I want to send my cooldowns on a pack from the get-go, because what's going to happen if I send Dragon Rage here is, like, this pack's going to get blown up, and essentially, I'm going to be sitting here with, like, 10 seconds left of Dragon Rage, not doing anything, and, you know, I'm essentially going to waste my cooldown, which isn't good at all. So these birds are probably the most dangerous dudes in here. The Rotting Wind is really, really tough to manage. Now, luckily we have a priest who can Mass Dispel and a monk who can Revival, so it makes magic effects not as threatening. But on a fort week, like if those go off, you're just donezo. So you want to definitely make that a priority, and also using Wing Buffet to potentially get them out of that circle is really, really nice utility. If mobs are in that circle when it goes off, they get like a 25% damage increase and a 25% damage reduction as well. So definitely something to avoid. And again, just going through these packs, like you want to be liberal with your defensives, using Obsidian Scales, using Renewing Blaze. Even when you don't exactly think a huge damage event is coming, you shouldn't just waste your defensives at all. But you want to be using them and not keeping them on cooldown per se. You just want to be getting value out of them. And if you're only clicking them when you know like a huge damage event is coming up, and that damage event only exists on a boss on a Tyrannical week, or a really strong fort mob, then you're probably not getting a ton of value out of Renewing Blaze, especially from Scarlet Adaptation, as we spoke about a ton this commentary, but also just Obsidian Scales in general. So I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Gone through. Yeah, so that pack's dead. So we'll go through this Dragon Rage one here. And I don't really have much to add, so I might just shut up and let the gameplay go, but we're just gaming here. I should Renewing Blaze right now, or before all that damage came out. But you can just see, like, as I go through this dungeon, like, how, like, I'm even being, like, liberal with my defensives, in my opinion. Like, just kind of using them willy-nilly. And you see how fast they come back up. Like, a minute and a half is so short in Mythic Plus time. As long as you have, like, for Tyrannical, as long as you have all your defensives going into a boss, you're pretty much chilling. This was a bit messy, if I remember. Yeah. Okay, so we're at the boss now. So, excuse me. So Devastation is pretty notorious for being one of the best two-target cleave classes in the game. I think we are only second to Destro Warlock, right? I don't know if that's exactly true, but it just, from my experience playing, it feels like that. It feels like it's really difficult for someone to beat me on two-target cleave. So coming into this fight, we're just wanting to Nimways, Dragon Rage, make sure Fire Breath's on both the targets, make sure they're close enough for Eternity Surge to cleave as well. And it is worth waiting just a little bit for the mobs to connect, for Eternity Surge to connect on both of them with Eternity Span. Oh, I Zephyr'd way too early there. No I didn't, we're good, just barely. Oh, maybe it fell off, I'm not sure. We actually aren't, I'm not even sure if Zephyr works on this target. Let me look real quick. By the way, this is a really cool website, not even close by Ordemus, this dude. But essentially you can plug in your stat values and see if you die to a specific ability with like no defensives up. Like you can check and see things like that. But Gale Arrow, is that what that button is called? I think so. So Gale Arrow is actually a single target button, not an AoE. So that means that Zephyr doesn't help me at all. So, yeah, that's good to know going forward. Like, right there, I was relying on Zephyr to carry me through it, and I think the Monk was too. And it just doesn't work on that fight. So, yeah, it's something that, you know, we need to keep in mind in future keys. So right here, just basically making sure Fire Breath goes on both of them, Eternity Surge on both of them, disintegrating a ton. A quick note on Iridescence Blue disintegrates. You want to let them full channel or chain them. Like right now, I think my weak aura bugged out, but I think I skipped past the part. Let me see real quick. Yeah. So I have Iridescence Blue right there, and essentially I should let these disintegrates tick all the way down. Like you can chain it right here, but chaining, remember chaining versus clipping, like chaining you don't lose any ticks, so we're not losing any ticks of that Iridescence Blue disintegrate by doing that. We're just spending our essence a little bit quicker, which is always good. Like we want to be generating essence as much as possible and spending essence burst as much as possible. But you don't want to clip an Iridescence Blue disintegrate at all. Hopefully my recording isn't completely bricked. Alright, so, you know, Evoker's just in general, like, really good on this fight. You can dodge almost everything. A lot of its rot damage, Renewing Blaze goes crazy. We have an external for every single big damage event, aka Gale Arrow. You can Obsidian Scales, rescue someone, really carry them through it. 2-target cleave. I think I rescued way too soon there. Yeah, I did. But it let the healer get us topped up quickly. And I think Darkness just went absolutely crazy, like 2 million healing or something. Nice, nice. So there's not really much else to say on this fight. Pretty much you just want to make sure you're empowered, cleave. Like, by the way, her new position doesn't register until she lands. So you can Eternity Surge right here, and as she jumps, it will still cleave. It's all good. But there's not much else to add here. Like, just stack up for the Gale Arrow as a group and cleave. Right now, my essence, I am overflowing with essence right here, so I need to aggressively clip to get rid of this crap. See, I'm not generating essence right now just because Hoarded Power is proccing, which again is this thing right here. Essence bursts have a 20% chance to not be consumed. And other things like that, sometimes you just do get overflowed with essence. And you need to spend it quickly, because the name of the game with Devastation Evoker is to constantly be rotating between your resources, right? You have so many buffs. We have so many buffs, so many resources to spend, and you know, so many ways we can spend them as well. So right there, that was really dangerous, damn. So yeah. Guys are almost dead. I could have done a rank 2 or 3 there to get more value from Fire Breath, since like my dot has 20 seconds and these guys are only going to last like 10 more seconds, something like that. So could have definitely done rank 2 there, get a little bit more damage. Ooh, I got destroyed. I think I got double shot because our priest died, so not as many targets to select. Okay, perfect. The recording isn't bugged. I was so worried. Yeah. Evoker dumb. He was trying to flame me because I was like, no, they get our remaining percent. So these guys give 6%, and then we have like 99.46 or something like that. I was like, just grab these two guys over here, and our tank wanted to do another pack over there. So I was like, nah, I'm just going to release and go to this area. I was right. He admitted I was right, but he called me dumb. Okay, so just remember, D-Vodka is an idiot. So these guys is another great opportunity to just, you know, showcase Dev Evoker's cleave. I'm playing with like another really good cleave class, Shadow Priest, so, you know, don't be tricked by this. We're really good at cleave. I'm not sure if the name of the game here is to just burst down one or if it's to kill them evenly. I want to say it's even, because, you know, most classes do more damage when there's more targets. Like I do, Shadow Priest does, Boomy does. So generally, killing them even is probably better. But I always send my cooldowns here, regardless of 4 to Tyrannical, just because you really kind of want Dragon Rage to come up during the intermission on the last boss, just because that intermission is very, very dangerous, and it's nice to just burst that down and get that intermission over with. You should not really be saving on these two guys right here. The P1 of this boss is not dangerous at all. So I think we actually go and kill those two mobs because we're just kind of waiting for cooldowns. Yeah, so I can just skip ahead. These guys don't do anything besides kick them. Okay, so here's the fight. So this boss is pretty dangerous. Like, he does a lot of fucking damage. But Devastation has a pretty good toolkit to handle this boss. We have Caught. You can always caught the tank when they're a little bit in danger. We're in comms right now, so I just tell him to let me know when he needs caught, like in between these defensives or something like that. And that takes away a lot of the burden. You can also have Night Elves on this fight, which can negate the charge like that. If they Shadow Meld as the charge is about to go out, it cancels the whole thing. I don't even know if it has to be right as it goes out. I think as long as they get targeted. Mage and Viz might work as well. Typically those two kind of work in tandem with each other, and Rogue Vanish. Right here, this isn't the dangerous one yet, so you can just natty live that. I didn't need to defense that. The thing you always need to defense is the big electric slam right here. That thing pumps, like in P2, that's when you need to defense. Or if you get targeted in P1, like the Iron Spear, you need to definitely use Obsidian Scales then, or rescue someone and run away from them. But overall, this boss is just kind of a sponge in P1. I believe right here he wants his caught. Doesn't look like it actually. So because that's not lethal damage, the little like the circles after his frontal, Renewing Blaze is really, really good there, right? And I'm sure that possibly gets lethal as the keys go up, but it's pretty far from killing me at the moment. So I think I would need to go up like 2 or 3 key levels for that to truly kill me. Maybe, probably 2. But Renewing Blaze is really good for anything that's just rot like that. So here, typically the Vengeance Demon Hunter can handle one side. I just instantly start out with a Wing Buffet, knock them in, and kick this one. I'll quell it whenever. And then once they're like sort of grouped up, like in a cone, I'll hit them with a pressing roar or a spit, and that'll lead to a really, really nice silence. I think I played this part pretty poorly. Our healer was like, he admitted that he played it really, really bad, so it was just kind of full panic mode the whole time. Like, I was very, very low this whole time. Should be healing myself now. Yeah. Oh god. I should have rescued someone right here. Oh man. So close to dying right there. That was terrible. But here's kind of sucks. You know, I channeled Nimways for like 3 seconds of PI, which isn't amazing, but it's okay. This right here, this spear hurts. Definitely a good time to rescue or Obsidian Scales. I don't know. Did he die through bear? It's crazy if so. I'm just gonna see. Yeah, he's in bear. Damn. This part of the phase is just pretty terrible. I am dropping this in an absolutely awful spot. I think I do this the whole encounter, but generally you want to drop those swirlies at the start over here or like on the sides. Basically you want to keep this rock clear. Really to salve that, like how I do that as a player is with bigwigs. Like bigwigs is the biggest help that you can ever have to improving as a player. Like in Nokhud Offensive, we can go to the last boss, Balakar Khan, and I believe his frontal is called Upheaval. Wait, knocking back or towards the player's location. Yeah, I think it's Upheaval. I could be wrong. I would need to double check, but then just like emphasize that. So basically, what that will do is say like Upheaval in 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you know exactly when that's coming. Oh, that alert tells me get to a wall, and that's kind of how I improve as a player throughout the tier. I haven't done that with all of these new bosses yet. Like last night it was my first push night really, so still learning a bit, but it's a good tip nonetheless. Able to lust here. I think this boss just takes forever to die, so we're down to DPS. But essentially we're just, you know, disintegrating it, single targeting it. Dragon Rage comes up here. Ideally, you want to be receiving PI after your empowereds go out. So I'm a little bit behind this guy. Like I should be a little bit ahead per se. Like I believe he power infusions as his like third GCD or something like that as a Shadow Priest. So I have a little bit to get everything out and, you know, not lose a ton of uptime from Nimways and things like that. Yeah, I mean, don't really have much else to add. I know I keep saying that and keep yapping, but that's basically the key. It was a really clean key overall. Well, I don't know about really clean, but we could have done it a lot faster if we had a bit more damage. But overall, like, this was a really good showcase of Devastation's power. Another thing I wanted to show at the end, right, was Living Flame. So Living Flame actually outdamaged Arcane Barrage, which on like a class like Shadow Priest or something like that, you're just never going to see damage like that from a filler spell, right? And a lot of that has to do with, you know, Leaping Flames and Scarlet Adaptation and Iridescence Red and things like that. So yeah, really it's just you know, understanding your damage breakdown and knowing the priority of each spell. So Fire Breath Pyre, obviously cranking an AoE, Disintegrate, Obsidian Scales, Eternity Surge. I hope we get some new talents next week that improve Eternity Surge, but like on the alpha, but still does a pretty considerable amount of damage. Voice cracked. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Again, comment as many questions as you have in the YouTube comment sections, and I'll answer them.